Welcome back to Real Estate Phil-osophy with your host, Phil Greiner.
Hello, and welcome to another podcast from Real Estate Phil-osophy. My name is Philip Greiner. I am in Buffalo, New York, where we are an active real estate acquisitions company, entrepreneur, and business owner. We are here today to discuss more about real estate and specifically how owning rental property is not the only way to build wealth in real estate. Real estate debt products do offer a clearer alternative for some investors, but not only if you understand leverage, underwriting, and construction risk. Today's guest, we have Tim Herriage. Tim, this is going to be the first time that I'm reading off a paper to announce your credentials here, but they are long and I want to make sure we touch on them. A former member of the U.S. Marine Corps, intelligence analyst, 20 years, 2,000 houses, and $8 billion in transactions as an operator. He's not just a guru, he has bought houses at scale. Former member of Homevestors, We Buy Ugly Houses during the development ages, ran one of their top offices and trained cash home buyers for a living. In addition, he was a co-founder and managing director for B2R Finance, a Blackstone-backed company which helped build the industry's first 30-year DSCR product. In addition, B2R grew to become Finance of America. At the end of the day, you are one of the inventors of the modern rental loan. Moving on, executive director at RCN Capital, where you remain today as a senior corporate advisor, as well as former founder of EXP, the EXP Expo, which was purchased by Think Realty, the largest real estate trade show. So we have the good doctor in the house today. Tim, how you doing?
Man, I am great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So today's discussion is on Ternus and what you are offering to the real estate marketplace. What can you tell us about that?
You know, that intro I get bored hearing about myself all the time, but I think with Ternus, financing sucks, right? And none of us join this industry because we want to become financial whizzes. But we have to learn it, right? Because as you and I both know, money, money enables growth, right? And money's a tool. So, I've made a good living. I've made a good career. And we started Ternus just trying to share the wealth with people, get them involved in the business, let them own part of the bank, if you will. I mean, that way folks like you can be a shareholder and a customer and a referral partner and an investor and all of that. So Ternus, it's our mission statement's pretty simple. We partner with investors to provide fast, reliable capital to help them create wealth and build a legacy. Because at the end of the day, I think you and I both know that's what everybody ends up in this business for long term, is really just to create wealth and build a legacy.
Absolutely. So
buy a boat.
Buy a boat. I love boating. You know that.
I think I saw it getting towed the other day, didn't I?
It did. Unfortunately, I took a rope around a prop shaft that wasn't mine. I need to make reference to that. The rope was blue and my ropes are black, so I wasn't that guy. Then we got a carburetor issue, but luckily she's back in the water.
There you go.
So I guess I am a member of the Founders Club. We got involved with me right off the start. And I guess for myself, when I'm making investments in something that's not real estate, the asset class I'm familiar in, I'm making an investment in the operator. I mean, I don't care about the balance sheet or the return on equity or any of the fancy numbers. I'm making an investment in you. So I guess what are you doing, or what are you offering currently, as I believe the Founders Club term has lapsed, and what's available for investors?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we do loans for investors. We can talk about that if you want, but it actually bothered me about 2 months ago when my investor relations guy came to me and said, "Hey, this guy has 50,000, but he's not accredited. and we don't have anything for him. And like, that bothered me, right? Because the entire thing was kind of to make Ternus the people's lender, right? Like, work for everybody. And so I'll dive back a little bit. So Ternus is Latin for threefold. And when I really thought about Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why everybody gets into investing, I was like, there's really three core pillars that every investor shares. And I've met tens of thousands of them. And so I developed those three core pillars. The name itself is Latin for threefold, meaning we'll build our business around the three pillars. And then if you look at the logo, there's three triangles inside a triangle, and each triangle is a pillar. And so the first one is make money, because I think everyone that gets in this business, the first thing they do is they just want to make a little bit of money, right? I mean, it's like, man, just let me make some money. And so that's triangle number one. Triangle number two is after we all wholesale a little bit or flip a little bit, then we want that mailbox money, that cash flow, right? And so the second triangle is for cash flow or passive income. Everyone says it differently. And then the bottom number is the bottom pillar, and really the foundation is almost everyone I know that's been in this business longer than 5 years wants to build wealth and create a legacy. Like, most of us don't come from rich families, and man, we find this and we find a way to, own millions of dollars worth of real estate. And it's a way that we can change the future of our families. So I say all that because I wanted to make sure that everybody could always make money with us, build passive income or cash flow, and create a legacy. We did the Founders Club offering, which was a crowdfunding offering of stock, and that ended in January. And then we have our cash flow fund, which is for accredited investors. It's a $50,000 minimum, and it lets you put your money into our fund, and we deploy it out and buy loans. Same loans Ternus writes every day. And I mean, I put the first $500,000 in, and we're making 11, 12% on our money right now through the cash flow fund. I don't have the quarterly numbers in front of me, but that's great. And then it's funny you asked, like, then my guy says, hey, we don't have anything for the regular investors. And that bothered me. Like, it really bothered me. And so we're actually about to launch this thing with, have you heard of Fractional yet? Stella Hand's company?
I know who she is. She was at CG and I believe Investor Fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've known Stella a year now. I've looked at it, thought about it, hadn't really figured out how to monetize it yet. So it's kind of funny you ask. We actually have a call tomorrow where what I came up with is, if I do $1 million worth of loans, we pay cash for the loans, a lot like normal real estate investors, right? And then we go borrow anywhere from 60 to 80% of the loan amount from a bank, right? So if I do a $100,000 loan, I may borrow $70,000. We'll just call it that. Well, I got 30 grand stuck in that deal. Well, once you do 50 million of that, you got a lot of money sitting in that deal.
Oh, I get it.
And so what we're going to do very, very soon is hook up with Fractional and then take those participation interests, kind of our down payment, and let people invest in that. And we'll be able to pay them 13, 14% interest. And it's a really short-term thing. So that's not happening yet, but I'm excited about it.
So I guess in your vision with that product, is that still going to have the $50,000 minimum, or what sort of contribution are you looking for that?
$5,000.
Okay. So it's going to be a lot more accessible to your smaller investor. So,
yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right? Like somebody sees it and they're like, yeah, I'll drop 5 G's in that to make 12%, that kind of thing.
And I guess we jumped ahead of ourselves here, but what are the products that Ternus is offering to your investor at the moment, and what are the terms on those?
Yeah, our core product's called Quick Turn, and it's 100% financing of purchase, 100% of rehab, up to 70 loan to value. We'll finance someone with zero experience at 100%. It's just cost a little bit more. I think it's like 13% interest and 3% origination. If someone's got experience and they want the 100%, I mean, we'll do it for like 10 and 1. I mean, it's cheap once you get experience. We don't have a minimum credit score on 100% financing. So someone's got a 600. I mean, I don't really care, right? I mean, I'm an asset guy. So we're going to look at the value of the home. It really is the source of repayment. And we've got some other loan products that, really do a better job at, getting you a lower rate. So if somebody wants to put 10% down, they can get, a 9 and 1 pretty easy. If someone wants to put 20% down, we can get in the 8s and even like only a half a point origination. So we try to give options. And then we do DSCR loans, long-term rental loans for real estate investors. You're one of my favorite customers because you're so organized that you can act. And by the way, I know you probably don't get called organized a lot. You're able to close your loans. Huh?
Hire what you're not. So I am not, but we built a business around it by hiring organized people.
Yeah. So we're able to close your DSCR loans in less than 2 weeks because, you're a good borrower. You can, get us access to the property. You actually answer when the appraiser calls you, right? Like, I mean, it sounds silly, but that's the way it works. Like, we get people that will pay for an appraisal and then they don't answer the appraisal's phone call for a week. And then they're mad we don't close in 2 weeks. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe you should have gotten the appraiser in there. So we do all those products.
I mean, it's had a huge impact on our business. I mean, at the end of the day, the cash conversion cycle is shortened. Used Kiavi, used RCN, used all sorts of other competitors in the past. And at the end of the day, it's still taking 6 weeks to close a rental loan. And that's, partially New York State. There's nothing you're going to get around. You have to do what you need to do. But on multiple occasions, you guys have performed for us. And going back to, you were describing your logo there with the pyramids, creating legacy. I have to personally thank you for helping me start to create a legacy. I think 5 years ago when we met at Investor Fuel, I was giving my presentation on the business numbers and you're just like, what are you doing? You need to hold rental properties. You are killing yourself with income taxes and you're not building anything long-term. So, if investors are actively fix and flipping and involved in the game and you're not holding rental property, it's something you need to strongly consider. And Ternus is a great partner to help them assist in that part of the process. I guess I was just naive, but it's like, who the hell is going to give me $10 million in rental loans? You're nuts. It's never going to happen. But these products are around and they're great.
Yeah. And I think, kudos to you. And I think probably the greatest lesson someone can learn is what in this business, I believe, is what you just said. You're at a mastermind. Here's this loudmouth guy running his mouth, telling you because at that point you were making a ton of money flipping houses. And all I could see is like, dude, he's got to pay the IRS like $300,000 a year. Like that's all I could see. Right. But kudos to you. And I think your listeners need to know, like, when that advice is given to you, you don't have to follow it, but you do need to hear it, right? And consider it. And then to your point, and I love going here, that's immediately that self-limiting belief just gets in the way of crap. This guy must be rich and have like a rich dad or something. No one's going to give me that money, right? Like, and I think a lot of us get into this business and number one, we think we know everything too quickly and then we stop listening. But then number two, we don't believe certain things are possible and we don't pursue oftentimes what will change our life.
Yeah, you get lost in the noise of the day-to-day and you're not focusing on the long-term goal. Or, even poking fun of myself, I didn't have long-term goals. It's like, I don't know, I'm just taking it day by day and running with it. And once you put some purpose behind it, it becomes very powerful.
Right.
So I guess with Ternus, how many stakeholders do you have at this point in time, or how much capital have you raised? Can you disclose those sorts of things? Where do you see it going?
Yeah,
I
you
know
know,
you
it's, I think, you know, I tell people all the time, success oftentimes creates more problems than failure. So as we sit here today, I am in more debt than I've ever been in my life. Right? Literally, this document right here is to finalize another $5 million warehouse line that I got to sign and send today. You know, so I'm carrying 25 million in debt against 40 million in loans. And on paper, you can feel good about it. But sometimes at night, right, that enemy creeps into your head and you're like, oh, this is no comfort zone. But yeah, we raised we're at like 2 million in the cash flow fund. We've got 140 shareholders in the Reg CF, the Founders Club. I've got 6 partners in the business. Collectively, we've probably raised, or either in equity or debt, somewhere around 40 million.
And where do you want to take it? Because I know, Tim, it's not double. Is it 10x? Is it 100x? Is it 1000x? What is your plan for Ternus?
Oh, it's hundreds of millions. It's hundreds of millions. You know, our next conversation, and this is like, it's hard. The barriers of entry are hard. So some of the major warehouse line providers will not give you a line until you've been in business 3 years and you'll use at least $20 million. So the first 2 or 3 years, you're like in no man's land, and you start hobbling together, you know, private investors, kind of like when you start out flipping, right? It's like, this guy will loan me 100. This guy will loan me 100. Like, put it together, you got 200. That's kind of how we put the lending business together. You know, my wife and I put the first money in, and then my partners put the next money in, and then, you know, we start raising capital, and then we start a fund, and then we start getting debt. And I think the first 12 months we funded it all out of cash. But, you know, at the end of this year, so our assets under management right now are about 45 million. At the end of this year, I would love that number to be 100 million. I would love it to be 500 million in 2028.
Okay.
Which means I'd be about 350 to 400 million in debt.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Well, and you got to get comfortable with it, right? I mean, you gotta get comfortable with it.
I'm nowhere near that sort of in the hole, but I see red all over the balance sheet. But again, it's the equity spread that was built, even in the short term that I've been doing it. It's unbelievable and empowering once you can see those numbers compound and continue to grow. So, Tim, there's been a lot of negative speculation in the media about the housing market. How are you comfortable at night financing real estate for flippers in a given environment?
You know, there's so much noise out there about the private credit market and the housing market and all that. And I think it's risky in luxury housing. I think it's risky in speculative housing. I saw an article yesterday that, like, for the first time in history, it's cheaper to buy a new home than an existing home. I think existing homes, which means the existing home prices could fall a little because replacement cost of the home is kind of the floor of like what it'll be worth, but it won't fall that much. I think, look, I learned this 23 years ago. I have to like do math in my head. When I first went to work for Homevestors, like I got my start as a general contractor and a buyer for these guys. Then I worked my way into owning the business. But the president and CEO, the founder of Homevestors, used to say, he said, we know this for a fact. When we stay between 70 to 90% of the median home price, we don't get hurt. And another mentor of mine my first year, when I was just a project manager and a wholesaler, he goes, "Hey, Tim, listen, as long as you buy entry-level houses that have 3 bedrooms, that the rent on the home would be comparable to the nearest apartment complex, you'll always have demand for your product." And so I think those are some tenets and philosophies that I learned, before you could drive, that have guided not only my personal investment strategy, because my wife and I still buy houses, and I've bought a couple thousand, but also guides my lending criteria. So we loan money to people like you that do business in normal American neighborhoods where the rent is affordable, and there's always someone that is moving out of their house to downsize, or they're about to have that second kid and it's time to get out of the apartment, and so I think we loan on it's why my internal loan amount limit is $500,000. If it's above $500,000, I'm going to shop it to someone else, a hedge fund or someone, and sell them the loan, because we want to be in liquid, good neighborhoods where just normal Americans live. I don't want to finance a $3 million new build property in California, right? I want to finance a $200,000 house in Kansas City.
Yeah, 95% of my business is starter homes. I like them. They're cookie cutter. They're easy to put together. They're easy to sell if you get jammed up and end up going over budget. They're easy to rent. So, it's a smart philosophy from my opinion. Another question for you, I guess, how are you guys, or what technology are you utilizing to underwrite for the investor to make it easier? And I guess from the flipper's perspective, how are you keeping the timeline short? What kind of technology are you using to secure your investors?
So I'll tell you this, we're not using enough technology right now because I'm always trying to improve. That's number one. But we have things like AI underwriting agents that we're constantly working on. We're using Claude and Cursor and different technologies to build, like we have a processing agent now. So the next time you do a loan, we've got this robot that, we launched our borrower portal. You haven't even seen that yet. So now you can self-serve and upload your documents based off the needs list, and it will give you the little domino pizza tracker across the top. But if you're still missing something, or anytime there's an additional condition, this processor agent will email you. And when it emails you, it's like, "Hey, Phil, we need 1, 2, 3, XYZ. You can click the link below to add it to your borrower portal, or just reply to it and attach it to this email." Well, that's all a robot. And when you reply and attach it to the email, it goes to a server. It sucks that into your loan file, populates the condition, flags it as complete, and moves your deal forward. We're looking at text message document delivery, text message picturing. We're designing our own app. We're intelligently grading the files as they come in, trying to develop fast lanes, right? So I think my use of technology is very interesting. Everyone tries to either not use it or make it the total solution. And my thing is, if I can just create a fast lane, like for the borrower that will use Plaid for their liquidity verification, right? For the borrower that closes in the same LLC every time, right? For the borrower that doesn't change states or whatever, like a guy like you, right? Like Buffalo, right?
Yep.
You underwrite a couple of those houses, you can underwrite them really quickly with technology. And so that's what we're working on. It hasn't come as far as I want it to, but I feel like we are on the leading edge. If we're not on the bleeding edge, but we're on the leading edge.
We're utilizing it in our underwriting process as well. Getting it to the point where it's reviewing photos and checking construction budgets and I'd say 75% of the time it's on. I'm thinking a renovation is going to run 50, 60 grand and it's worth 250 out the door. And it's relatively accurate. Some of the problems we've been having is, I'll call it, it goes on a drug bench. It's like every once in a while, Claude is spitting out just a ridiculous number. It's like, well, it's not going to cost $1 million to fix a 960 square foot ranch. I mean, there's something wrong with these numbers. So as much as AI has been implemented and is making a difference in our business, specifically underwriting, it still needs a human in the loop to make sure that everything is on and to check and balance.
I was listening to Brad Lee's podcast a couple weeks ago, and there was this AI guy on there, and he said something that I've really latched onto. The people that are really winning with AI right now are following the 10-80-10 rule, right? So the first 10% is the prompt, and it's just so important, right? So you've got to get really good at prompting things like telling AI to follow first principles. Well, when it follows first principles, it doesn't want to make you happy, right? You can tell it to invent and guess nothing and identify information gaps before building, right? And it will follow that instruction. It'll say, "Oh, you're right. I invented that, and I need to know, what about this? What about that?" Right? You can build in Claude these different skills where they conditionally load, right? And so what we find is, so the 10 is how you prompt it and how you set it up. And then 80 is the massive amount of work the machine can do. And then the last 10 is the human in the loop that is kind of putting the last 10% on it out of experience, and then providing feedback to the prompter, to the human at the beginning of the loop, right? Like, hey, this keeps coming out missing XYZ 1, 2, 3. We need to make sure the prompt covers that, right? So it's interesting. There's a feedback loop between the 10 and the 10, and you just keep the robot in the middle doing everything that you tell it to and then reviewing it.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. I mean, we're feeding it real raw inputs with our QuickBooks files on construction budgets and square footage, and it's crazy what it's able to replicate just based off photos and a brief description. If people aren't utilizing it, they're going to fall behind the curve.
Right.
I wanted to pivot here, and I seen some news articles the other day about the House or the Senate pushing a new housing bill out. And one of the things I believe I seen in there was it was going to limit institutional players to 350 single family homes maximum. What are your thoughts on that, and what are the ramifications to the industry as a whole?
I think it's good, because it's virtually irrelevant to 99.9999% of investors ever. It does limit some of the capital that'll be available in the space, but I think what it will do to those that already have 300, 400, 500 houses, it'll help them have motive to cull their portfolio, right? And once you've done this long enough, really every 7 to 10 years, you should sell the houses, right? And maybe you 1031 into a new one, maybe you go buy a bigger one or a nicer one. I mean, now where I think the housing bill really misses is it's got all these affordability provisions and like incentives to governments to build properties and all that. I think it's going to be by and large like not influential whatsoever. Like, I don't think it's impactful at all.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, even Buffalo has a terrible track record with it. The Perry Projects is what it was called, as downtown Buffalo has some waterfront involved. Could be a beautiful area, and the city ran it once, burned it into the ground, and now politics, they gave them the money to build a new one. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen there. But I think those things really need to be accomplished through the private sector, or at least in partnership. It's going to be done much more efficiently, much more cost effective. You're going to get a better product, and it's just going to stimulate the local economy more.
Right.
Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm not cool enough to make those big decisions yet.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Ronald Reagan said, like, the most dangerous words you can hear are like, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Look, if it creates some additional funding, federal funding for affordable housing development, great. But any of that funding, comes with a tax and ultimately comes with execution. And you and I both know that the local municipalities tend to get it wrong. So I don't know. The housing bill is something that a lot of people ask me about. And I feel like it's really just a net neutral. It's much ado about nothing.
Politics at its finest, I guess.
Which, by the way, is the reason it passed so easy. I mean, it's something they'll all take credit for. Oh, we're trying to fix housing. Like I don't know. I don't think it's as important as it gets credit for.
We want to stay on the political side of things for a moment.
Yeah.
The Fed obviously had a changing of the guard. Do you think that's good or bad for real estate investors? Where do you see rates going? Hopefully, what are your projections there?
I really thought we would have seen lower rates this summer. I did not know we were going to kidnap foreign presidents and bomb countries. So there's that. I think the Fed chair is saying the right things. He's talking about price control will be more important than, will remain the most important in keeping inflation down. He talked about the job market's rather healthy. We haven't seen the full fruits of AI. I was listening to him on CNBC earlier. So I think he's the right guy for this time. I'm almost confident we'll have lower rates next year. But anyone that's waiting for the 2% and 3% stuff again, I'm not sure we ever see that again. I think we've learned our lesson there about 0% interest rates.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's foolish to sit on the sidelines because for the most part, the country's still seeing appreciation. I mean, even here in Buffalo, we continue to tick up. So failure to buy now, you're paying more in the long run and you're eating it. So as you're giving all of these investors loans on their fix and flips, at least locally, our construction budgets continue to climb. What have you seen from that side of the coin? And is there any end in sight? Or is this just a local issue we're dealing with, but we're struggling here finding contractors at a reasonable rate and material costs just continue to climb?
Well, there's so much that's petroleum based. I think you have a little bit of a lag issue there. The tariffs and the import games don't help. The massive deportation issues, I live in Texas and if you go to a construction project, the vast majority of the people on a new home construction project or renovation project are Mexicans. Like, we're not even going to say Hispanic. Like, they are from Mexico or their parents are from Mexico. And, there's been a lot of deportations, and the labor market is adjusting it to the supply and demand curve. I mean, if these young people, even though they're smart, like they know what they can do. And it really started in COVID. I'll never forget, a guy was doing a roof for me, and this guy swings by and basically yells up to the crew and pays them like an extra $100 a square if they'll leave my project midstream and come finish his. Like, and I just remember thinking, like, what the heck? I mean, and so I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing, number one, it's more expensive to produce the goods, the materials. Number two, it's more expensive to deliver the materials. Number three, it's more expensive for someone to live. And number four, there's less available labor. So the supply and demand curve just means that it's going to price higher. It's why I'm a believer that we need more immigrants. Americans in general have become rather lazy. I was reading the other day, Phil, at Ford, like there's these $150,000 mechanic jobs available in Detroit, and they can't get anyone to take them. Like that's just it's the sign of the times.
If I could do it all over again, I'd be an electrician or a plumber. Those guys are cleaning up, and they're going to be the next wave of millionaires, which good for them because they were disrespected for a long time, and it's about time. But those guys are killing it at the moment, and just the mechanical costs and inspection costs, everything is going up through the roof, and you just need to be cognizant when you're underwriting a deal of things may go sideways.
Yeah. It's, buddy of mine sold his plumbing company for north of 50 million. And, I think private equity sees it. And, I've got two young sons. I mean, below the age of 25. And by the time I was their age, I could frame a house and build a house and at least understood the way electrical components and things like that work. They'd have to chat GPT it or YouTube it before they could do any of that. And it would be very dangerous for their health. Right. I mean, so I think that's part of it is the labor and trades part of our economy and our society is very undermanned because people don't know how to do it and they don't want to do it. And our government keeps giving them money to not do it. So I feel like, again, to go back to the other one, take away the incentive not to work and take away the taxes and put it in the private market hand. And I think the economy works a lot better.
I guess for those of you that want to get in touch, how do they get in touch with you and in touch with Ternus and your team?
Phil, you and I are about the same. If you Google our name, we're about the only one on earth. So I'm Tim Herriage. I'm on all social platforms. My handle's at Tim Herriage. I'm the only one. And then Ternus is simple, TERNUS.com. If you want to know about loans, just check out the loan product page. If you're thinking about investing, go to the invest page. And we'd love to talk to you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you're looking for more unfiltered real estate advice, give us a like and a share on social media. Thank you.
That'll do it for another episode of Real Estate Philosophy with your host, Phil Greiner, helping you navigate real estate without the stress. Thanks for stopping by.